Are you sick of scrolling through the same 6 apps over and over? Then download the new Vickroll app. Only available on iOS devices. Struggling with the dirty ass room? Then boom! The Vickroll app will clean it with ease. Lack any and all talent whatsoever? Then bang! The Vickroll app will have you playing for days. Need your enemies to be terminated? Then bop! We'll send our hitmen straight to their location. Get the Vickroll app today. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok are all pretty much the same fucking app now. As we as a people stray further from God's light, these platforms are straying further from their original identities and gimmicks. And from what I've seen, most people don't seem to like this. Shit, I remember back in the day when Instagram announced their new groundbreaking technology. Stories. He copied my whole fucking flow! He copied my whole fucking flow! Word for word, bar for bar! Fast forward to the year of pain, and stories are literally everywhere. Platforms like TikTok are experimenting with longer forms of content. YouTube has statuses now. Every single platform has some kind of live streaming option. Instagram literally has TikTok and eBay one tab away from each other. The overlap is insane. And regardless of how you feel about it, it's gonna keep ramping up. But why though? Yeah, this is all about the markets. And when I say market, I'm talking specifically about a group of people who want to buy or consume a thing. So imagine this. Here he goes again with his example. Hey yo, shut the fuck. Take every single person on the planet who uses the internet. This group would be the total consumer base that Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on have the potential to access and make money off of. They all have access to this user base, so you'd expect that they directly compete with each other, right? But weirdly enough, at first, this wasn't necessarily the case. Rather than directly compete, platforms kinda chose to focus on smaller bases within that overall group of people. They focused on demographics. Places like YouTube appealed to people looking for amateur content and a general site where you could find whatever clips you were looking for. Places like Facebook appealed to a super general population of people with any interest in social media. They were able to do this because they broke MySpace's kneecaps early on and were able to secure themselves at the top of the general market. Snapchat appealed to a younger demographic with its constraints and focus on things like best friends, streaks, messages not saving, stories, and so on. Every platform was cutting out different pieces of the pie. There was some overlap, there was also a metric fuck ton of failed attempts, but the main ones that prevailed managed to cement themselves at the top of whatever slice they were tapping into. For a while, the logic pretty much was if you already had Facebook, there was still a reason to also have Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat or even YouTube. Not that you had to pick between them. So why is this changing? 'Cause 2016 happened. In 2016, Instagram released Instagram Stories. Instagram and Facebook released their forms of live streaming. And Vine fucking died, not in a blaze of glory, but a whimper. Anyways, this was a major turning point in how some of the biggest platforms went about sharing the market. Now don't get me wrong, there was some significant overlap before then. Facebook videos was a thing, and YouTube had been trying to access that live streaming space since 2013. But this was where the general public started to see social media platforms really adapt the model that convenience is king. Or queen. Shut up. Why cycle through the same 4 apps for 6 hours when you can look at one for just as long? These companies are no longer focused on building name recognition through having something specific to offer anymore. Now they are focused on keeping people glued to their platform as long as humanly possible. So instead of Instagram being the place to go to for photos and Twitter the place to go to for statuses and trends, you can now go to either platform for short form video content, stories, images, messaging, and all that fun shit. TikTok went through this process at hyper speed. It blew up with its main draw being the way it offered short form content that allowed the use of copyrighted sounds. Instagram proceeded to jack its whole flow, and now TikTok is experimenting with longer form content. Bringing something new to the table just isn't as valuable as it used to be. Convenience is top priority, not innovation. Finally, he shut up. This overall seems like a really good and really frustrating thing. It's good that these platforms are fighting for the same consumer base. Their competition creates a better product. Also, it's way more feasible to start and run a business using a single platform now than it was a few years ago. Us as consumers are getting platforms that have way more functionality than they used to as well. I think the most frustrating part of all of this is how fast this is happening. Like, this change hasn't been subtle at all. It's like when Daddy Amazon showed up and decimated business after business in the span of a few years. Like, we all kind of miss the nostalgia of going out to a bookstore, but the reason Amazon reigns supreme is because we all take full advantage of the convenience it offers. Similarly, big name platforms lose the attention of the general public if they don't offer that convenience. It's frustrating to see things change so rapidly, but there is an argument for why those changes aren't necessarily a bad thing. So, what's the moral of the story? Follow my socials. Let me